in this very unsettled world, treating others as we would wish to be treated is particularly important. The work of the Charter in Australia is guided by the Australian Compassion Council, and my name is Lynne Reader, and I'm the National Lead for the Charter here in Australia. The work the Charter does covers three main areas. We do work in compassionate cities for the National Day of Compassion, which we hold annually on the 21st of September, and in sectors, so applying compassion into areas such as health and business and education, business, etc., and peace, interfaith. And we have a number of national coordinators for each of those sectors. And with me today, I'm very pleased to welcome Sharon Davson, who is the National Coordinator for the arts sector here in Australia. Welcome, Sharon.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Lynne, for inviting me onto your program.
Good.
I'm delighted.
So Sharon, I'll just give you a little bit of background, is a well-known Australian artist who uses spiritual ideas along with her love of nature to create beautiful and uplifting images. Since 1984, her artwork has been sold to collections, including to Avida in Minneapolis and to the World Book Encyclopedia in Chicago. Her art is represented in royal, celebrity and other collections, with museum collections including the Hikari Museum in Japan and the Museum and Australia and Art Gallery of the Northern Territory here in Australia. So Sharon, let's open then by exploring a general question, and then we'll go into discussing some of your paintings specifically. But just that opening question, how can our creative selves support us in seeing the humanity in others?
We all have a wonderful opportunity of imagination. Imagination is a gift to all people. So when we're speaking with someone, it's not that difficult to really listen carefully, hear what someone is saying, imagine ourselves in a position similar, and respond with kindness. And that actually connects us. It connects all people. So creativity, imagination, visualizing what that's like. And quite often we've actually had similar experiences. So the imagination doesn't have to work terribly hard to bring out compassion, because we've actually not been in someone else's shoes. You can never say that, but we've had not dissimilar experiences. And just taking a breath, listening, and it's a step forward in compassion. And that's how I feel creativity helps.
And of course, you know, arts bring us or invite us, you know, into a sense of wonder and awe about perhaps someone else's experience, but you know, into nature, into the universe. So I'm wondering about that aspect of how wonder, that sense of wonder, can propel us into a much wider perspective.
Oh, the sense of wonder. All you need to do is look at a child, a small child looking at an object for the first time, and we get a sense of wonder. Creativity, the desire to draw, paint, mold is ingrained in the same way writing is. Writing is incredibly creative. Whether we're writers or not, it's the most abstract form of drawing, because we interpret those lines on a page to mean something, or typed keys. But we can connect with creativity and the arts with almost anyone, anywhere, anytime. Because whether you're talking to someone who may be interested in archaeology, there are arts. Whether you're talking to a preschool teacher, there's art. Whether you're talking to a mechanic, there's the art of the machinery, how things fit together, the nuts and bolts, the beauty of the engine, the sound it makes, the music to his ears. The arts are in everything. The design of even a paperclip. So when we're talking with literally anyone from any walk of life, there are elements of the arts, whether it be cushion design, fabric design, the design of the necklace you're wearing. We have a communication starting point because of creativity. Creativity is a starting point to any conversation after we listen and respond to a question, because then we have an understanding of where the other person's coming from, what their passions are. One of my passions is glassware. You can see from behind me, there's a whole range of different things that are on their way to a museum. And they were all created over the last 3 centuries in different places. Most of it's behind glass. So starting points, they're everywhere. And I happen to have a passion for glass. I collect it. But my primary passion, of course, is in the visual arts and painting.
Yeah.
So yes, it
Yeah.
connects everywhere.
Oh, good, good. Well, let's then draw on some of those painting images to discuss how they explore treating each other well and some of the issues that you've already been raising. So let me share the screen. And so start with this image here.
Oh, you've picked one of my favourite paintings of all time. This painting is called On the Ark of Salvation. It's actually known as my signature painting, created in 1999, or it started in 97, but predominantly done in 1999. In the background, you'll see Newcastle Harbour and Nobby's Head. And what we have are 2 friends, a koala and a frill-neck lizard, on a very fragile raft, journeying out into the world. They're being supported by the light of creation from a rainbow bee-eater above them. But this is a story of courage, of fragility, of beauty, of a belief in the future, and the compassion between the 3 creatures, one guiding the way, and 2 with absolute trust that their journey will be successful, even if their raft is made of what we would normally regard as something very fragile. But we always need to remember that plants with their flowers often withstand significant wind and rain and the very hot sun, and they produce the seeds of our future and future generations. So yes, there's a lot of compassion in a flower because it's both present and the future and caring for the future. And I think there's a lot of compassion between the three main creatures of this painting, the subjects.
And what is the key that the koala's holding? What's the key to?
The key unlocks knowledge. So that can be the knowledge of wisdom from the ages. It can be from a Bible or a Torah or any holy book or any book of wisdom where people find comfort. So the key unlocks knowledge. In this particular instance, it also has a couple of other meanings. You'll notice that there's a 200 on the top of the key, and that is because it was the 200th anniversary of the Newcastle port, and it is sitting on a round circle as well, meaning the millennium. So we have the 2000 in there. This painting was created late in 1999, it was finished, and it was a key celebrationary artwork for the 200th anniversary of Newcastle port, only a few weeks prior to the change of the millennia into the year 2000. So I've actually date stamped this one with the key.
And I can see that the image in the background, it looks like it's an image of Australia, the broader outline, but when you look, you can see the whole world within that jigsaw.
Oh,
In the
yes.
sky.
It's basically a map of the world
Mm-hmm.
with some pieces. And the pieces missing are important because that's what our lives are like. We don't, and that's why compassion's important.
Mm-hmm.
We need each other to create a whole. We need each other in our lives to fill in the gaps, point us in the right direction sometimes, pick us up when we fall over, because we don't see everything that we need to see. So the world is not a complete picture for any of us. It was set up that way so we'd need each other, look after each other and care for each other. And I find that exciting. It means that we're always bringing people into our lives to help fill some of those puzzle pieces that are missing.
Yes, beautiful. Yeah. Yes, because when we're,
Help?
sorry.
I said, does that help?
Yes, yes, no, that's wonderful. Yes, that's right. And not the sense of there's enough, that it's not that there's enough for everyone, because often when we feel there's not enough to go around, that's when we're not open to others.
It's amazing how things can expand when we share,
Mm-hmm.
and they become enough.
Yes, yes, yeah, exactly. So, okay. All right. So can we go on to another one now?
I'd be delighted.
Good. So I'm just not sure. Oh, okay. That's too big though. But we can,
That's
oh,
coming
okay,
into
that's the
detail.
same one. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So let me
Well, in that case, they're all Australian as well.
yes, yeah.
The flowers, though, weren't all Australian. They're from
Right.
everywhere.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So this one, offering gratitude. Oh, can you hear that? Can you see that one?
I can't see it at the moment.
Oh, okay. So
So
it's the offering gratitude.
offering gratitude together. Is
Yes,
that it?
yes, with the
With
kangaroo and the koala, the
at a
iguana.
picnic.
Yeah, the picnic.
And,
Yes,
and they're sharing a meal together. And
yes.
again, there is the world, but this time it's a globe that's been flattened. And again, we're in Australia. I don't know if you're able to bring that image up at all while we're talking.
Yes, I've got it on my screen, which means it's being shared. So
Oh,
people are
fabulous.
just
Okay.
looking at that. Yeah, at the moment. Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm needing to visualize it in my mind. And again, it's very much about sharing. It's about they're toasting gratitude. I think it's really important that we offer gratitude for the majority of things in our life. The goal is to offer gratitude for everything, because in some of our worst times, we find amazing gifts. I'm not someone who can pretend to do that instantly. That would be wonderful if I could all the time. But I do know that over the years of practice, I have been able to reduce the time frame between feeling woe is me or down on things
Mm-hmm.
to being able to find elements for which I can feel gratitude. The
Mm-hmm.
elements might someone just phoned me at the right time and cheered me up. Or it could be that I can start to see other ways around the problem or things that I can deal with within it. So gratitude is one of the big themes of my life. It comes through all my art. It was a defined and deliberate choice of subject from the mid 1990s,
Mm-hmm.
and it's remained. It's something that my goal in life is to be able to reach that pinnacle of hopefully the gap between big things in my life going wrong and gratitude gets very short. I can do it quite easily on all the little things, but
Mm-hmm.
some of the big things longer.
Yes,
And
yes.
so that is one of the things in my own lifetime I'm working to master.
Mm.
And I also, offering gratitude for everything, it really does help with compassion for others. Because quite often when something's gone wrong, I will think of people in worse condition and then my thoughts go to them, and they can only bring up compassion, and then I have more energy to get on and deal with what's happening. So sometimes comparison of others can pull us, and feeling for others can pull ourselves up out of our own stuff. Now, that's my experience. Everyone else is going to be different, but that's how I work through it.
And I can see there's scales of justice on the ground as well in the image, in the picture, and
yes,
an echidna reading a book. So for those from outside Australia, the echidna is a lovely Australian native animal. Yeah, or sometimes it's called spiny anteater. Yes, but doesn't usually read books. So what was that?
Oh, I tend to use birds and animals rather than humans in my work. Most people find it easier to relate to animals. They smile more easily when they're looking at an animal reading a book than they will looking at a person reading a book. They'll also relate to what does the book mean more quickly. What is it the creature reading about? And again, it goes back to wisdom. So it can be any type of book for which gives us a better understanding of who we are, why we're here, and what we can achieve and what we're doing. And so the scales of justice are important. We need to keep life in balance if we can. It's not that easy because everything's in waves, ups and downs, and that way we grow and prosper through those ups and downs. So we have to have them, but as long as we can maintain an equilibrium in particularly how we communicate with other people as much as practicable, that's good.
And what's the flag that the kangaroo's holding?
It's a world flag. Back in 2004, I designed a world flag that could be drawn by anyone because there were some other world flags out at the time, but they were complicated. They were beautiful, but you either needed a computer or a printer to recreate them. I thought what's really important is to have a flag for all the world, all living things, that was extremely simple. So it had to be geometric, covering the most important elements that there are. So all spiritual beliefs have an element of fire, hence the big red center for spirit. They all have an element of water or moon, and therefore the blue horizontal. The white four quadrants are air or spirit. The 5 colors across the bottom are the 5 original, you call them skin colors. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean it relates specifically to the colors of human skin, but they were spiritual colors designated to different regions of the world for humans, and they gave different properties. And this information is found in fairly ancient texts. So they represent all humanity, the 5 colors along the bottom, in a spiritual way.
Oh, beautiful.
So it's extremely simple, but extremely deep.
Yeah, exactly. Beautiful. Yeah. And let's now finish with the last one, which is turning point. And I'll put that up onto the screen.
Okay. Turning point was based on a marathon runner. When I say marathon, I mean ultra marathon runner. And some of his journey and how it intertwines and inspires. So he was running an ultra marathon at the time from Sydney to Melbourne. And he was in a lot of pain in his legs and exhausted, but you still need to keep going. So they get up extremely early. They only have a little bit of sleep, and they run for the majority of the day and part of the evening. And it was very early in the morning when he arrived in a place called Goulburn, which is on the in New South Wales. It's an inland town. He was coming up near water. There were mists rising, and he felt totally inspired. He felt as though his feet were no longer necessarily pounding on the ground, but were being lifted. And hence the footprints rise into the sky as though there is something else moving us forward. On his journey, so the book in this particular instance is part of the road, and it has a little bit of his journey, some of the places he's been, and he became a politician. So it also has Canberra Parliament. And the scales in this painting, they have a beautiful glider. It's another little Australian creature, again an endangered species this time. And you'll notice that the landscape on either side of the road is quite different. One side has desert colours because he's also run through a lot of desert areas. So as an ultramarathon runner, Pat Farmer ran the full circumference of Australia. He ran from the North Pole to the South Pole. He's run the Middle East Peace Run and a whole lot of things. So that painting, although it was done before he did some of those, it was done around the year 2000 or 2001, just before he entered politics. So at that time, politics were on his roadmap, but not part of his life. So there were a page in the book yet to be turned.
Mm. Yes, and Pat Farmer, the image of the footprints in the sky is sort of very Indigenous looking as well. And I know that Pat Farmer ran, during the time in the lead up to the, we'd had last year the Indigenous referendum, and in the lead up to that, he did a run around. I'm not sure how far around Australia, but to bring attention to that as well. So he continues his wonderful work through his running. And again, you've got the cockatoo holding the key. So what's the key to?
Once again, it unlocks knowledge.
Yeah,
and you'll also have the birds in the sky radiating the light of creation across the landscape, helping us move forward in many areas. The footprint actually in this instance was based on a footprint by Mario Andretti's daughter. I was in America some years ago, and one of the things I was doing to raise funds for charity in that particular time, endangered species. And Mario Andretti, World Formula One race car driver, Indianapolis winner, Indy car champion, he became very involved with what I was doing, and so did Sir Nigel Mansell and others. And Mario's daughter, instead of just doing her handprint, which is what everybody else did, she did her footprint. And it was just a lot of fun. And when I was working on this painting and thinking about it, I was also connecting, as with all my art, I connect some threads from my own life. They're a little bit biographical, even if I'm usually the only person who knows. But the footprint is Mario Andretti's daughter, Barbie. And even though it was then attributed to a runner and attributed to a totally different story, this is how we bring the parts of our lives together in a painting. And most people, when they view a painting, are alone with it. So they have their own story that they create in their mind. That my work, I hope, stimulates joy. It's important that it opens spiritual cells or cells in our body, so that the one thing I never want to do is have somebody come before one of my paintings and feel shut down in any way. I think it's really important as an artist to open conversations and open links where we can really feel about each other, feel positive, and move forward in our lives. So that's what my work's about.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been a wonderful journey, and yeah, they're beautiful colours, as you say, very inviting into the landscape, and I think that's a very important component of art. It invites us in to imagine and to be with something different than what we might have in our day-to-day lives.
It does, and it's a window to our futures as well. A lot of people gain inspiration for exactly what they need to do next by flipping through art books, going to a gallery. It may not speak directly, but the colours, the mood, the imagination help lay foundations. And if nothing else, it's pleasurable.
Yes. They're lovely spaces, really. They're very nurturing spaces, I think, art galleries, to just to sit and spend some time there.
They can be.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
good.
It's a pleasure being able to catch up with you
Good.
and share some of my work. And I sincerely hope this helps an understanding towards the visual arts and compassion.
Thank you. Thank you, Sharon. That's been a really wonderful conversation. And I'd like to invite now everyone who's been listening to this conversation to stay in touch with the work of the Charter for Compassion in Australia. And you can do that via our website, which is just charterforcompassion.com.au. So that's charterforcompassion.com.au, and have a look and see how you might get engaged. And I'd just like to finish by wishing everyone a happy Golden Rule Day for 2024. Best wishes, everyone. Thanks again, Sharon.
Thank you.